Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a new fresh class of CA Foundation. We are doing business correspondence and reporting, and the topic in discussion is communication. And this is the second part of the chapter communication. The first one we did day before yesterday. I hope all of you were happy with the class. I hope everything was clear. Once again, a very good morning to everybody. Raj, Aishwarya, nice to have you all back in class. Mitanshi, Jayesh, Akshata, good morning. Bittu, good morning. Everybody who's joined in. And I hope we have better strength. I hope I can see people still joining. Good morning, Tarun and Ananya. Good morning, Priyansh. I think Priyansh was the first one to join pretty early. Good morning, Ayush. Okay, so now all of you, I have a simple question to ask. How many of you have any doubts from the last class? Or else we'll continue, whatever you say. This has to be completely according to you, because at the end of the day, you have to benefit from the class. Remember, I told you there is mutual learning. So I am teaching, you are learning, you are talking, I am also learning. So for any doubts, if there is something which you think I missed out in the last class, or we need to take some more sessions or take some more discussions on them, please feel free to put that in the comment box. Or else, if you think everything is going as per your understanding, there is no lag, okay, then fine, we'll just continue. We'll move on to the second part of the session. Okay. And just like last time, we have to be very interactive. I don't want silent students in class. It's a class on communication, so we should talk as much as possible. I know this is going a little one side because you are only typing and I'm only talking, but still not a problem. Now quickly tell me, everybody, remember what was my task last time? Lalit, yaad hai? Manmohan, if you were there in the last class. Ayushi was there. Yes, Tarun was there for sure. I remember Tarun was there. And Ananya was also there, I think. What did I tell you? I'm going to ask you next in the class for the first 15 minutes. What was supposed to be discussed? The news. So quickly tell me what's going to happen in what's happening today and what happened yesterday in terms of current affairs. Jaldi batao. Quickly, I want answers. I want good communication, good language, proper explanation of the news. Whatever shortest form you can write, you can put that in the comment box. I'm happy to read. Quickly, I'm waiting. Okay. Geenal was there. Good morning. Ananya, it was to read a newspaper, and yes, okay, so all of you are joined. Anshuman, your messages are coming quite a lot of time. Just check, it's being repeated in loop. 10 good morning messages. Ayush will upload it, don't worry. Jayan, since you missed the class, what you can do is the lectures are uploaded. You can watch the re-recording of the lecture. So that's not a problem. Today's PPT will also be uploaded. You can watch that. Ha, Akshata, batao fir what is the current news? Yes, Rishu was also there. Yes. Formal communication pattern, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal. Okay, so Mohammed Sarfaraz, we haven't reached that actually. Today I'm going to do the different styles of communication, the different patterns, the networks actually. So don't worry, we'll discuss them today. Okay, your topic. Can you explain the chapter along with the reference book? Priyansh, you have the chapter, right? You can keep your notes open parallelly. My slides are completely aligned with the chapter. Whatever is there in the chapter, I am just trying to explain it to you through slides, through a PPT, but the content is the same, maybe a little extra, but nothing less. Okay. So aap apna chapter open rakho. And today, if time permits, I'm also going to do the practice questions which are there after the chapter, so that I know कि आप लोगों ने book खोली है. Please open the study material and see. जब तक आप लोग देखोगे नहीं, आपको पता कैसे चलेगा कि what exactly is the question format. You all are very happily asking questions, but at the end of the day, you have to see. Once just open the chapters, see the questions, check for MTPs, check for RTPs, attempt the questions, answers भी दिए हैं. but it has to come from your side, no? Finally exam तो आप लोगों ने लिखना है. Between general English and business English. Okay, Soumya, it's not a very difficult thing. General English is what I'm talking with you. In general, you talk to friends, you talk to neighbors, you talk to relatives. And formal English is when you're using English in a office. Suppose you're writing to a client, you're writing to a vendor, you're writing to an audit person, you're writing to your CA. Your CA is writing to you, you're writing to your boss. So whatever English is used at the workplace is known as business English. Whatever English is used otherwise is known as general English. ठीक है? Okay, अभी good morning खत्म नहीं हुए. I am waiting for answers. Aditya, हो गया good morning. Give me the current news, please. Lots of terrorism happening in West Bengal. That's what Raj says. Raj, are you from West Bengal? Because I can see an ERO. ICICI has launched new products for NRIs. Okay, that's Anamika's news. Now, remember, when you give me a news, you have to focus on something which is really important. ऐसे छोटी मोटी हल्की फुल्की न्यूज नहीं चाहिए. Please concentrate and communicate correctly. My job is to make you express yourself in the right way, using good words, good expressions, good phrases, so that there is प्रॉपर एंड इफेक्टिव कम्युनिकेशन. वो नहीं हो रहा है और आप छोटी छोटी बातें लिखोगे कि देयर इज दिस मूवी रिलीज हैपनिंग, यहाँ पे किसी ने 5 रुपए लेके किसी को मार दिया. डोंट गिव मी ऑल दोस इररेलेवेंट स्टफ. Okay, Ayushi is talking about Spain making a 7-star opening. That's wonderful. Okay. Ambani says Indian economy to grow 13-fold to 40 million by 2047. Good, Akshata. Are you in Mumbai? Close to Ambani's house. I can see a WRO. Expensive drug. Okay. So, Kazi, can you tell me the name of the drug? The most expensive drug, ER. आप कहाँ से हो? ठीक है, रिशु समझ आ गया. Wonderful. Arunachal Pradesh, brand new Donu Polo Airport. Yes, very good. That's a good news, Ashutosh. That Arunachal Pradesh is soon to get an airport and the PM is going to inaugurate it. Very good. Oil prices are falling. Wonderful, Adishri. That's a very important news. Okay, Arpi, now when you say Narendra Modi visited Vadodara, is that important? Okay, the reason might be important, but his visits are not important because being in that office, they all are visiting someplace or the other, someday or the other. आपको बताना है what is important. Relating to what types of news? Aditya, it has to be important from a knowledge perspective. Saudi Arabia defeats Argentina. Okay, so FIFA is the current discussion, I guess. Okay, Akshata is from Pune. That's close to Mumbai, not a problem. Adani looks to raise $5 billion from wealth funds. Very good, Kishan. That's a good news. Milk rate high, ma'am, in Karnataka. Okay. Fine. So all of you are giving me good news. That's wonderful. I can see Anamika has talked about Russia becoming the biggest supplier, replacing China. Kazi is giving me a good answer for the name of the drug, the most expensive drug. Very good. The G20 president is Mr. Modi now. Priyansh, wonderful answer. Okay, Manipur Sangai Festival. Good, Tarun. I was waiting for that. That takes us to the culture, the cultural and the tourism part of it. Good answer. Okay. Trisha says streets to be washed twice to counter. Okay. Seeing the pollution level, the winter pollution is so high. Definitely streets are being washed twice. Good. So I'm happy. I'm quite happy. Bharat Jodo Yatra is happening from Tamil Nadu towards the west. Fine. Okay, good. So I would clap for you. Good job, all of you. I can see the dedication. I can see that you've really followed what was asked, and that's what is expected. So to be a smart speaker, to be a smart communicator, you have to be involved in all this. You have to be knowing the news. कोई भी ऐसी news जिसको आप खुद से express कर सकते हो, that's the first test to see how good you are in communication. News तो बहुत सारी हैं. You've read it in a newspaper. But if I ask you to express it in your own words, that's the first part of good communication. Okay. And you all have really done well from that point. So I really appreciate that. Good job. Good, all of you. So let's now start with the main session about how exactly we're going to take this forward, communication ka. So I assume last class mein there is nothing pending. We've just gone through everything. Just for a second, just to make sure that everything is clear, I'll take you through the last slides, and then of course we'll continue with whatever is there for today. Okay? Anything you want to know and ask immediately from the last class slide, please let me know. Otherwise, I won't have time to take up the last conversations. Okay, so we did what is communication. So you can get a question directly on what is communication, write a short note on communication, define communication. Okay, itna ho jayega. Everybody can attempt that. You have to know the definitions, you have to know the answer in a very nice way. Don't start making your own language. Usse kya hota hai ki the expression becomes poor and you tend to lose marks. Okay, Vikram S rocket launched by ISRO. Very good answer, Anshuman. ठीक है, thank you very much for all the news. Let's stop. हाँ, Aditya, I'm coming to non-verbal and visual. ठीक है. Then communication is a two-way process. So you can get a small question. Why do you think communication is a two-way process? You have to write all this. Got it? So you have to explain why exactly is communication called a two-way process. There should be a word like sender. There should be a word like receiver. Feedback wala concept explain hona chahiye. If it's a short answer, you can write this much. If it's a long answer, then you really have to explain everything in detail. Fine. Cognitive activity is where you have to take care of your mental senses, and it's like recognize. Cognition is to know. So जहाँ पे knowledge required होती है to understand and comprehend and know things, those are called cognitive activities. Okay. Pranay, I have not read everybody's news. Please don't feel bad. There are lots of answers, and I know everybody has given me a good answer. So ऐसा नहीं है that I'm reading everybody's news. I'm trying to scroll through. Britain is helping Ukraine nowadays by giving weapon options. Okay, done. Jayant, you can attend, but you please watch the videos because you know this is a continuation of what we did last class. So अगर आपका last class में जो miss हुआ है, it will be really nice if you continue it from there. But now that you have joined, you can be part of the session. Don't leave, please. What is visual communication? ठीक है, we'll come to that. No, there is no practical assessment. It's just a theory paper, Manish. It's okay, Sneha. No worries. As long as you are there and you are listening, I'm happy. Yes, Shivam. The slides will be uploaded on the BOS portal. You can go through after the class. All slides, all chapters, all subjects will be uploaded. You can have a good look. Okay, so how does communication happen? This can be another question. I'm giving you a direct understanding of how the question paper will look like. Okay, fine. So this can be one question. Why is communication needed? There can be many more things. This is not a very complete answer since I'm doing a slide, so I've just put it in pointers, but you need to write in paragraph and you can elaborate on some points of them. So you need to tell me, what do you mean when you say communication helps to express? Then aap likh sakte ho, why do you think communication helps to question? How does communication help in socializing? So again, depending on the weightage of the question, you can give me answers. But remember, please stick to a certain word limit. Okay. Harsh, I'm coming to that. My slide has a topic on visual communication last class also, today also. So just give me a minute. I'll come to that and I'll explain visual. Okay. It depends. Linguistic is language, Soumya. Linguistic is more about knowing the study of languages is known as linguistics, which is not right now concerning your topic at all. Sadhna, what are you saying? You are telling me or are you asking me? Can you please clarify? Yes, Aditi, questions behind the chapter are very, very important. That's like a test your knowledge kind of questions. You have to do them besides the mock test papers. Encoder is the person who sends the message in the form of a code. Yes, good, Prana. Kazi, I just now told you we haven't touched that topic of formal communication with vertical, horizontal, diagonal. Please give me some time. Once I reach that slide, I'll do it. Okay, Bittu. So I'm taking you through all the slides. Let me finish the last class recap. If then also your doubts are not clear, then you can put the queries. So this is about the purpose. Why do you think we need communication? It can be for business reasons, it can be for personal reasons, it can be for general reasons, it can be for educational reasons. Okay. Now, out of these four reasons, each of these have a task. For example, for business reasons, maybe I want to improve my business, maybe I want to get more clients, maybe I want to get into a merger, maybe I want to take over some organization. So I have to communicate with the client. That can be a business reason. Personal reasons is I'm just writing a letter to my family telling about my good health, or maybe I'm writing an invitation. That can be personal. Educational can be maybe a seminar which is happening in your school or your college about awareness, about the POSCO awareness, about maybe self defense awareness, about maybe artificial intelligence is so much in these days, an awareness about that. That is educational. General is nothing but what we are talking to each other. Okay, that's general. Got? Okay. uh, Namrata, I just now told you cognitive ability. Where is this all coming from? Cognitive ability is the ability to know things with a certain knowledge because it requires cognition. Cognition means to know, to be aware of. Okay? Got it? You can watch the lectures. Non-verbal ho gaya. About the summary and explanation. हाँ, so you write a summary, no? लिख के दिखाओ साधना. You write a summary right now and I can check it then. Okay, anything related to the process of reading, anything which is involving the faculty of intellect and reasoning and remembering and thinking, all that means cognitive. Okay. Okay, chalo, let's move on quickly. Types of communication. What are the five basic divisions in communication? You have to write that. If they ask you in the paper what is the difference between formal and informal communication, you have to write that. If they ask you, please list down the communication, the different types of communication based on the channels, then you have to write the first list: verbal, non-verbal, visual. Okay. Yes, Manish, correct. Chain network and wheel and spoke network, Tazeen, I'll be doing today in class. What is the reason if an employee invited his colleague for a wedding? How will I know what is the reason if he's getting him invited? Lakshmi, I didn't understand. Vaishnavi, why don't you solve all the questions and show them to me? Okay. Now, types of communication. This is just a pictorial representation of whatever I showed in the last slide. This was more about language. This was more about knowing the communication subject, knowing the jargon, not using slangs, and honing your interpersonal skills. This is clear. This is a very explanatory slide. Okay. Clear till here? This much was done. So from oral communication, I'll take it forward. Each of these words have a specific meaning. If you get a question, what are some of the few examples of oral communication? Write a short note on them. You can write any of these examples and then you can explain them. Okay. Every topic should have examples. Without examples, answers are considered incomplete. You will not get marks if you don't give examples. If there is a reason where you can draw a small picture, like for a wheel and spoke network, for the two-way process of a communication, please draw a picture also. Okay. Ritu will do this today. Jargon is words which are specifically related to a subject, like medical terms hote hain, ज्योग्राफी से रिलेटेड टर्म्स होते हैं, इकोनॉमिक्स से रिलेटेड टर्म्स होते हैं, दैट्स कॉल्ड जार्गन. Yes, Sadhna, this is a good answer. Group discussion is can be informal. You all are sitting on a table, and then you all are discussing about some simple topic. That can be a group discussion. Conference is where you have a lot of delegates coming from different organizations to discuss, to disclose, to invent, to talk about some future possibilities, or to spread awareness. That is a conference. So it's more about a congress, a lot of delegates coming together. It's at a higher level, it has a bigger agenda as opposed to a group discussion, which can happen between friends, which can happen at the time of interview, which can happen just at a casual chai coffee note. That is a group discussion. Yes, gossip is also an example of oral communication. Good. Dhruv will upload them. Please have patience. Aditya, what do you mean by legal relationship? Informal means social relationship. I didn't get that. Lecture. I am giving a lecture right now, Pratibha. So this is an example of lecture. Speech is when there is an important person like Mr. Narendra Modi going to a particular city before an election, and part of the election campaign is to address the audience and give them a speech. अपने बारे में बताना, जैसे आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर इलेक्ट हो जाते हो तो आपकी स्पीच होती है, या on a certain important day the prime minister goes to red fort, he hoists a flag and then he gives a speech. स्पीच तो सुना ही होगा फिर आपने. Kushi, have you ever heard about a debate in school? Have you never taken part in a debate in school? कभी भी नहीं किया? Oath is more like a pledge, but yes, it's just about a standard written format where you pledge that you will take care of your responsibilities. That is an oath. Yes, Abhishek, correct. Yes, Bittu, correct. Jayant and Kushi, I really want to know if you've ever taken part in a debate. Verbal communication, Nitin, basically involves words. Okay, that's why we call it verbal as in vocabulary. So it can be oral and it can be written. It does not mean that you're only speaking. That is oral communication. Hence, verbal is a broader category under which you have oral and you have written both. Okay. Oral communication, Dhruv. Declamation is just another way of discussion. I have not given you all examples. There are many more speaking kind of categories. Extempore bhi ho sakta hai. So Mitanshi, I am just naming the very important ones. आप declamation भी लिख सकते हो, extempore भी लिख सकते हो, jam sessions भी लिख सकते हो, कुछ भी लिख सकते हो वैसे. Okay? Friendly talk, Himanshu. I mean, do I really have to explain what is friendly talk? मतलब आराम से किसी friend से बात करना is friendly talk. Interview is a formal communication. No, debate is formal. Purva, I am getting your messages. I'm getting everybody's messages. Debate means two persons having their own opinion, but you have to be fighting for your opinion. And Manmohan is very right. There is a debate happening on most of the news channels. If you watch news, आपको exactly मतलब समझ आ जाएगा. Sadhana has also answered what is a debate. ठीक है? Taru, dekho, written communication is not non-verbal. Verbal means use of words. All of you have to get this really correct. Verbal का मतलब जहाँ पे words use हो रहे हैं, जहाँ पे language use हो रही है, जहाँ पे English कि expressions use हो रहे हैं, either you write or you speak, both come under verbal. Non-verbal is where there are no words, जहां पे आप सिर्फ sign language, symbols, gestures, facial expressions से बात कर रहे हो. Okay? ललित, सी फ्रेंडली टॉक इज यू टॉकिंग टू अ फ्रेंड, इज अ फ्रेंडली टॉक. आपने कॉल किया, आप बात कर रहे हो, आप गार्डन में बैठ के बात कर रहे हो. ग्रुप डिस्कशन इज वेयर देयर इज अ ग्रुप एंड देयर इज एन एजेंडा ऑफ व्हाई यू आर डिस्कसिंग दैट, सो इट हैपेंस ऑन अ मोर formal level. Most of the institutes, after they recruit, after the entrance test, they also have a group discussion so that you come to a consensus, so that I get to know your opinion, what is your opinion on certain things. So it's not like a baseless discussion, but group discussion में हमेशा एक agenda रहता है. ठीक है? नहीं, debate can be formal, please. Debates are usually considered formal. Pledge is when you take a promise, like an oath, that you're going to fulfill all the responsibilities of the new office you are holding. वर्बल एंड विजुअल सेम नहीं होती हैं. विजुअल में आईज को अपील किया जाता है, वर्बल में वर्ड्स को अपील किया जाता है. खुशी, ओरल इज बोल के. यस अंजलि, अभी बताया प्लेज का मीनिंग. पैरा लैंग्वेज इज बेसिकली वेर यूर ओनली यूजिंग साइंस एंड सिंबल्स. ओके, रिशु, इफ यूर आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस विद द हेल्प ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी एज इन चैटबॉट से बात कर रहे हो, उतना डिटेल में क्यों जाना है? वी आर नॉट गेटिंग इन टू द फाइनर डिटेल्स. आप कुछ भी लिख सकते हो. इफ यू आर टॉकिंग टू अ चैटबॉट, इट्स बेसिकली कम्युनिकेशन, नो? And since it is involving a use of words, it can be verbal, but nobody will ask you that because there are very, very finer differences and finer categories which are getting into new branches after oral, after verbal. उस लेवल तक जाना ही नहीं है because आपके कोर्स में ही नहीं है. जितना स्टडी मटेरियल में है, even if you do that much, you'll score good marks. Okay? ठीक है? All of you got it? हाँ, e-communication and all that, you don't have to worry about that. That's not part of your syllabus. ऐसे तो बहुत सारी branches in communication है. We are just concerned about what is the broader category. E-communication भी है. अब आप Siri से बात करो, Alexa से बात करो, will I consider that normal communication? वो तो हमारा concern ही नहीं है ना. ठीक है? So don't go towards that topic. Near to a speaker in the news, which type of communication is that? Dumb person. So dumb person के साथ तो आप non-verbal में ही बात करोगे ना. It has to be non-verbal then. Yes, Jyoti, more or less. No, Ayush, that's not conference, that's a meeting. Oral comes under verbal, Jayant. Para language, I just now told you. Group discussion may be formal and informal. Mostly it comes under formal. You can write answers in your own words, Janvi. That's not a problem. As long as you cover all topics, language will not be a problem. कोई check नहीं करेगा कि आपने book की language लिखी है, but points सारे cover होने चाहिए, कुछ भी missing नहीं होना चाहिए, words का usage एकदम accurate होना चाहिए, then it's not a problem. हाँ, ठीक है तरुण, good answer. Mono acting is non-verbal. B2C, there are, like I told you, there are different options. There are different branches after these broader categories. So if you all keep asking me examples कि ये lecture क्या है, Zoom meeting क्या होता है, online क्या होता है, call में क्या होता है, then I have to get into the technology part of it, which is not the discussion here. So let's not concentrate on that. Okay? जैसे व्हाट्सएप मैसेज क्या हो गया, व्हाट्सएप पे अगर आपने वॉइस मैसेज भेज दिया तो क्या हो गया, ट्विटर पे मैसेज डाल दिया तो कौन सा कम्युनिकेशन है, दैट इज नॉट योर कंसर्न. You have to concentrate on the broader concerns, because exam perspective से जो question आएगा आप वो समझो. Exam में they will not ask you about a WhatsApp communication या voice message through a WhatsApp communication. That is completely technology based. Okay, so we are not getting into the finer details of Zooms and Teams and Meets and Google Meets. उतना डिटेल में अभी हमको करने की जरूरत नहीं है. But really good that you have that curiosity. I really appreciate that कि आप लोग एटलीस्ट जानना चाह रहे हो. If I am over with my slides, then I'll definitely do that. ठीक है, आज का टॉपिक कर लेते हैं. उसके बाद जो भी आपकी एक्स्ट्रा क्वेरीज है ना, we'll do that. Okay, this is done. Any doubts? So I think most of you are done. This was the written communication where we left it. And these are some examples. There are more types of written communication. Just to tell you, I am just giving you some examples. So ऐसा मत सोचना these are the only written communications. Articles होता है, blogs होता है, editorials होता है. It can be anything. I have just written some of them to confine to my slide. Okay. So this was basically the end of the first PPT. Now let's start with the second one, which is the main important topic, which is under discussion today. Just a second, I'll share my screen and then we'll start. Okay, so we'll start with non-verbal today. So my first slide is going to be non-verbal communication. Yes, Ritu, I just now read about your queries, no? Aapne likha some words such as ouch, ye, yup. Again, the same thing. Why do you all want to know about things which are informal? ये words भी तो communication है ना, तो word है तो communication verbal ही होगी. अब आप slang use कर रहे हो या abuse use कर रहे हो या एक अच्छा vocabulary का word use कर रहे हो रितु, it has to come under verbal. Okay, great, good to see your excitement, Rishu. Grapevine आ चुका है क्या सुनील? Have we started grapevine? नहीं किया ना, तो let's go step by step. Don't hurry to a topic. All of you, please remember, I have not even covered 1/4 of the topic. अभी 1/4 किया है. I have three classes spread across communication. So see what all we will do today. Brochures, when you visit an organization, when you visit a school for admission, they'll give you a brochure, they'll give you a prospectus. That's a brochure which tells about the detail of that organization, of the setup, of how things are going to be. You go to buy a new property, so the builder has their own brochure printed where they'll tell you about what is the timeline, what is the budget, what is the pricing, how many towers are going to be in the society. All that is a brochure. Okay. Yes, Dipali, posture also comes under non-verbal. हाँ, exactly, Kishan. Manish, you tell me. If you are asking me, मुझे बताओ, what will your answer be if this is your exam question? A dumb person converting the speech of the speaker into actions. What is that? What is that? It is a communication, no? So हर communication में जरूरी नहीं है ना verbal या non-verbal हो. It can be a hybrid mode of both versions. It can be that then. Simple. थोड़ा सा relevant questions पूछो. You know what is going to help you from the exam point of view. ऐसे questions पूछ के you won't be gaining anything. That's my only concern. I can keep on answering. मुझे problem नहीं होगा. But at the end of the day, when you write your exams and if I see these kind of answers, you will not even be able to attempt a single question. Yes, Preeti. Okay. So this is my first slide for non-verbal communication. You all have seen. Non-verbal is basically wherever the message is transmitted in the form of either a gesture or a posture, and it also involves a distance. If you have two very close friends, they will stand close to each other and talk. You will be doing that. But if you're speaking to somebody senior, if you're speaking to somebody elder, or maybe senior to you in post, then you will definitely maintain a distance. Whenever you are in office, you won't go and put your arm around your boss and start talking. So wo jo distance hai between two speakers or between two participants in a conversation, that is also a deciding factor whether it is what kind of communication. All this comes under non-verbal. How you move your hands, how you move your legs, what is your eye contact, what is your facial expression, all this comes under non-verbal. Okay, there are many more possibilities, so don't worry, I have given you only few to get a feel of it. Non-verbal and visual are not same. Non-verbal is more about gestures, visual is more about something which appeals to the eye. It is only for the eye. विजुअल अगर होगा तो वर्ड्स भी तो देखने हैं ना, जो बोल रहे हो वो सुनना है, बट इफ इट इज रिटन देन रिटन आल्सो बिकम्स विजुअल. So visual communication is not something which is only to be seen. It is a communication where things are appealing to the eye and उसको ऐसा बनाया गया है, इतना कैची बनाया गया है कि आप एकदम से उसको देखना चाहते हैं. That is visual. Is it recording? What is recording, Priyansh? Essentials of oral communication, you skip it. Essentials of oral communication, we have done it last time. I will repeat it again towards the end of the class, Sindhu. You can please open the chapter and look at the points and tell me what you did not understand. Yes, Priyansh. Joining hands, Kazi, very good. That's also there. Yes, Tarun, that's a good definition of non-verbal communication. Okay. Body language ho gaya. Body language is body movements and posture only. Okay. Now let's move on to the next part of it. We'll come to visual, no, Janvi? Then you'll understand it better. Don't jump to conclusions. आराम से करो. एक टॉपिक को धीरे धीरे करो. What is verbal समझ आ गया सबको? अब हम कर रहे हैं नॉन वर्बल, उसके बाद हम करेंगे विजुअल. अपने आप आपको समझ आ जाएगा. Okay, now actions speak louder than words. This is specifically hinted towards non-verbal. Why? Because non-verbal में there are more actions than words. In fact, there are no words. Words का usage सबसे कम non-verbal में होता है, because you are talking to somebody who's only relying on signs and gestures. तो उसमें tone and voice of the speaker, इसमें एक थोड़ा exception होता है, the fifth one, because tone and voice is basically something which is spoken. So if you want, you can take this as an exception. This is just included. ये वाला जो point है, fifth वाला, this is not part of non-verbal always. This is something where your actions and maybe your anger and your aggression is being visible, but ये mostly verbal का part होता है. Sometimes it is considered that if I have to communicate through a non-verbal mode and I'm making a very angry sound, that sound is basically taken in this point. Okay, but words nahi honge for sure. ठीक है? Got it? Is it clear till here? Yes, Rishu, that's also an example. Now you should just know body language is also known as kinesics. That's the science of knowing body language and movements. It is kinesics and haptic. That's an extra information. You don't have to remember it, but I thought you should know because आप इतना topic कर रहे हो, तो there is no harm in knowing it. Fine. Closeness or personal space. Closeness होता है that if you have a colleague, you won't be close to your colleague as much as you'll be close to your friend. That closeness is a way of understanding the communication between two people. So the communication with your colleague will be limited. आप उससे काम की बात करोगे, ऑफिस की बात करोगे, discussions करोगे, office से related matters की. But if it's a personal friend, if it's a neighbor, you will talk to your friend or your neighbor more about general things. You'll be more comfortable because you don't have to behave in a certain way, as opposed to in an office जहाँ पे आपको एक एक सेट तरीके से बिहेव करना होता है. ठीक है? posture is the way you present your body, straight posture, leaning posture, sleeping posture, dull posture. आपका बॉडी कैसे प्रेजेंट हो रहा है किसी के सामने, दैट्स पोस्चर. जब आप योगा करते हो तो आपको बोल जाते हैं सिट स्ट्रेट, दैट इट्स अ पोस्चर. सो व्हेन यू आर एक्टिव, व्हेन यू आर अटेंटिव इन क्लास, आपका पोस्चर स्ट्रेट रहता है. व्हेन यू आर डल, यू आर लेजी, यू आर नॉट कंसर्न, आपका पोस्चर स्लीपी, डल, स्लैंटिंग टाइप रहता है. ठीक है. पैरा लैंग्वेज इज नथिंग बट साइन लैंग्वेज. ओके. हाँ, कुमकुम. सो एस्थेटिक कम्युनिकेशन, आर्ट, म्यूजिक, सब कुछ आ गया. दिस इज जस्ट कम्युनिकेशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ द टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ नॉन वर्बल, कैसे चलता है, कहाँ यूज होता है, दैट यू आर टेलिंग मी. जेस्चर बोला ना, तो जेस्चर डांसेस में भी आ सकते हैं. ठीक है. Straight posture, yes. So when you study, you have to have a straight posture. When you're doing yoga, you have to have a flexible posture. Thank you, Pranay, and thank you, Shruti, for giving me those examples. Abhi, I told you para language, Prasanta and Shakti. Why did you not listen? Abhi to I told you para language means sign language. ध्यान से सुनो. If you miss out any point, we'll keep repeating things in loop and then finally course नहीं खत्म होगा. बहुत सारी slides हैं, बहुत सारी extra information है. You have to be attentive and you have to be guessing. Your intelligence lies in being able to understand and comprehend. अगर एक वर्ड का मीनिंग नहीं आता तो क्विकली उसको डिक्शनरी में देखो. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट योर सेल्फ. कंप्लीट डिपेंडेंस किसी पे भी रखोगे तो आपका स्किल फॉर नोइंग मोर, क्यूरोसिटी टू नो मोर, सेल्फ स्टडी वाला एस्पेक्ट फुलफिल नहीं होगा. दैट्स द रीजन व्हाई आई कीप सेइंग, the moment you see something which I'm not sure about, read about it, know about it, talk about it, instead of asking somebody directly what does X mean and what does Y mean. ठीक है. Correct. Proxemics, I just told you, is the study of the closeness between two participants in communication. Thanks, Anjali. That was good. Appearance. Appearance matlab? What do you think is appearance? Batao, Ritu. You tell me, what do you think is appearance? Simple English word hai. If you're attempting the paper in English, you can try to tell me the meaning. Just try, please. Gestures versus paralanguage is not a big difference. Paralanguage is more about hands and movement. Gestures are mostly used for dance. You know, the kind of gesture you're doing, your mudras and your hand movements, all that come under gesture. So it's more elegance and graceful. And paralanguage is nothing but signs to explain to somebody who's probably hard of hearing, deaf and dumb. Okay, Priyansh? Ha, so Aditya and Aisha have given me the meaning of appearance. But I was asking Ritu to try. Maybe Ritu, you should have tried what is appearance. Pratibha, what is the meaning of aesthetic? Can you try to tell me, please? अपने आप सोच के बताओ. Tell me what does aesthetic mean, then you will get to know the meaning of aesthetic communication. अपने आप ही तो ट्राई करो ना. कोई इंग्लिश का वर्ड है, यू कैन ट्राई एंड गेस इट. अगर क्वेश्चन आ गया पेपर में, प्लीज राइट समथिंग ऑन एस्थेटिक. और अगर आपको नहीं पता हो तो हाउ विल यू अटेम्प्ट इट? So aesthetic is basically anything which is concerned with beauty, the appreciation of beauty. Aesthetic movements होते हैं classical dance में, where you have a certain tendency of moving your hands in a very graceful manner, moving your head in a very graceful manner. So classical dances are an example of aesthetic movement, aesthetic communication. Okay, that's a sub part of gestures. So all these are broader categories. उसके अंदर sub parts and sub parts भी होते हैं. Dress code nahi, but yeah, the way a person looks basically, Ritu, can be appearance. Olfactory communication, okay, Kazi, that's more about the hearing part of it. अभी मितांशी बताया था ना टोन का. आई हैव मार्क्ड दैट आल्सो एज एन एक्सेप्शन. Maybe you missed it out. I told you tone here basically means whenever you are making an expression and there is a certain aggression sound coming out of you, इसीलिए उसको नॉन वर्बल में डाला है. अदरवाइज टोन एंड वॉइस इज कंप्लीटली वर्बल. दिस इज जस्ट an extra, I can say an exception sometimes. Yes, Rishu, that's also an example. Okay, so Ritu has given me an answer. Ayush, what about being antagonistic? How did that word come into your mind? आदित्यनाथ, लैंडस्केप कैसे, किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आप लोग लैंडस्केप बोल रहे हो, प्लीज बता दो. ठीक है. So when you have a question on types of non-verbal communication, this should be your answer. You can increase, decrease, and expand your answers depending on the weightage. Okay, let's move on. Right, now comes the visual communication part. So before we take a break, I want to finish the visual communication part so that your confusion is resolved between difference between visual and non-verbal. अब visual में क्या होता है? It's more about something which is colorful. उसमें picture है, उसमें कुछ brightness है. It's going to appeal. The moment I see this advertisement, I want to run through and see what's happening. Okay, that's why it's visual. Look at the advertisement on the right side, the bread gloves. It's an eatable, edible glove in the form of a bread. So bread is basically in the form of gloves. You just have to wear it in your hands and then you can eat it the way you eat your hands and you get the taste of a bread. It's available in classic white, it's available in unleavened, raisin, whole wheat. Variety bhi hai, and it's like an advertisement. So this is something which is appealing to my eyes. Anything which immediately grabs my attention because of the colors, because of the handwriting, because of the pictures, maybe because of some kind of an illustration or graphics, that is visual communication. Did you get the difference? Non-verbal में signs, gestures, facial expressions होते हैं, postures होते हैं, body movements होती हैं. Visual में आई को pleasing लगता है, immediately attention इधर से उधर चली जाती है. I'm looking here class में suddenly कोई आके एक बहुत बड़ा poster लेके आ गया मेरे सामने, so my attention moves towards the poster. That is visual communication. Got it? Yes, bulletin board is a very perfect example, Sarfaraz, of visual communication, because bulletin boards are just about pictures, just about illustrations, just about graphs and diagrams. That is the best way you are doing a visual communication. Thank you so much. Good answer. That Preeti, you check if the ad is true. Tone does definitely represents the mood of the speaker. Yes, now you all are getting it correct. Rishu, Ritu, Shruti. It's more about pictures that are appealing to the eye and for which my eye is like getting my attention is getting captured towards that. That becomes visual communication. Memos, not exactly. Memos is more formal communication because उसमें भी बहुत ज़्यादा pictorial representations नहीं होती. All this is one-sided. The only difference is, Aditya, that when you see a visual communication, you feel good and you start giving a feedback. Oh, wow, look at the ad, look at the picture, look at the placement, look at the font, look at the graphics. That feedback itself makes it a two-way communication. Adishri, I think you mean a poster on road. Yes, that's also visual communication. Yes, Rishu, correct. Billboard. Yes, Ayushi, billboards and kumkum illustrations, very good. Anything which is fascinating to your eye as a representation. Yes, Sadhna, now you got it correct. Audio visual is where you can see and hear, Ritu. Like if I play an AV clip, audio visual clipping is where the person is speaking and you can also see. Okay. uh, Restaurant menu chart might not be visual because you don't always have pictures. Sometimes you have a very bland menu with just names of the food items with the pricing. That's not necessarily visual. Mostly what happens is, Venkat Lakshmi, the communications are one side because the other person is not getting to hear it, but you are definitely giving a feedback. So when I see this ad, I'll start commenting on the ad, how good it is, how bad it is. So with the moment the feedback comes, it becomes a two-way communication. Hoardings, not huddings, hoardings. Jingle is only audio, Ashutosh. Yes, advertisements and in newspapers are definitely a good example of visual communication. ठीक है, Abhishek, that was correct. Yes, you can include books, Sadhna. Basically, the Marvel series, the comic series, whatever you watch as a comic strip can be considered. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's move on then. Now, this is another example of visual. Here, it was only picture based, where the pictures are very colorful. They are actually adding to the value of the information being given. Next slide is visual, where there is a Venn diagram and there is a graph, which is like a 3D bar graph. This is visual, where it is self explanatory. I don't have to explain the Venn diagram. The whole purpose of having a Venn diagram is already मतलब समझा हुआ है. Similarly, right side में जो bar graph है, which is like a 3D model of a bar graph, उसमें भी the years are mentioned, the season is mentioned, the temperature is mentioned, the mean temperature is mentioned, what each color signifies and reflects is mentioned. This is visual. Okay, where things are self-explanatory, it's just about a picture, it becomes visual. ठीक है, clear है everybody? I hope there is no doubt now. Next, we'll move on to formal communication. Many of you were asking about the horizontal, vertical, diagonal thing. So this, of course, we'll do after the break. Till now, I hope you have understood what is verbal, what is oral, what is written, and what is visual. These are the three, four things we have done since morning. I request you all to please pay proper attention to the examples. Don't unnecessarily confuse yourself by including things which are not related right now. Lots of other examples which have not been mentioned are also part of the topic. Due to constraints of slide space, I have written some examples. Okay. Rishu, what kind of an example is this? If you ask me such questions, and I don't think so, you will be writing the exam well. Use me is just a written text, right? How is that related to visual? लिखा हुआ तो सब जगह ही होता है ना. So please ask questions which are actually going to help you understand stuff. If you keep asking stuff which is not related or irrelevant, I'm sorry, I would not choose to answer. I'm really sorry. My area of concern is only going to be those topics which I think are important and are going to help you write the exam well and get good marks. Any question or any comment which is coming out of context and not sounding decent and just appearing to be disturbing, I will not answer. Please bear with me. So we'll take a 5-minute break. Thank you so much. I am happy some of you have really understood. Harsh and Shruti and Kumkum and Ritu. Thanks, Sunil. So I hope with all this understanding, I can move forward to the next part of it, which is the networks and communication. So let's see how we do that. Keep some very nice, interesting doubts and queries in hand. I'll be happy to answer them. But Don't ask me questions which do not make sense and are not related to the subject. I will not be answering them. I will not even read them for sure. But whatever I think is important and it's going to help you do better in life as a person, as a CA, I will definitely answer. Okay. So we'll take a 5 to 7 minutes break. I'll be back by around 12:04, 12:05, and then we'll continue with the next remaining part of the topic. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Please stay tuned and don't please go away after the break. Thank you so much. Okay, students, welcome back to the second half of the session today. We are doing business correspondence and reporting. My name is Jyoti, and the topic in discussion is communication. That is chapter 1 from your subject of business correspondence and reporting. So, one request I'm doing again in the morning, also, I said this, please, all of you refer to the study material. It is one of the best composed study material for your exams. You will really benefit from it. A lot of content with examples, questions, practice exercises, answers. Everything has been put there. If you really want to score good marks, study material is the best thing you can go through, you can revise. Okay. Okay. Ritu, hello. Okay. Fine. Okay, so I don't see any queries now. I think most of the questions have been answered. If there is still any doubt, you can leave that as a query. After the class, I will try my best to attempt and answer whatever is left. कुछ भी question miss हो जाता है, please don't feel bad because there are lots of questions coming and I'm trying to cover everything which is coming. I don't think so. It's low because let me check my mic. Is it okay now? Is it better? Okay. Fine. So let's start now. Let's finish the discussion. So we have done with verbal communication. We are done with non-verbal communication. We have also kept in mind the visual communication part. So most of the discussions have been done for wherever I think it was important. After that, whatever is important, please go through the website, the BOS portal and the study material which is there online and the MTPs and the RTPs. उसके बाद आपको सब समझ आ जाएगा. Okay. Fine, Anjali. Yes, Shruti, it's better, right? Okay. Okay, so let's continue with the presentation. So this was the last slide we took about non-verbal, about the visual communication, where things are appealing to the eye, where we have a lot of pictorial representations. You can also tell me something where, like a pie chart. A pie chart is a very good example of a pictorial representation. Okay. That you can say, Sunil. Ayush, we will do that now. After this, we are coming on to the topic of vertical and horizontal communication. So we will do that. Okay. Okay. So this is done. Let's move. Now comes what Ayush, you were just asking, formal communication. So remember, we did a difference between the communication styles and types based on either channel or the purpose. The purpose is formal or informal. The channel was more based on stuff where you are using, which means the types, the modes. That is what channel was based on. Here we are talking about the purpose. So if an information is to be delivered in a workplace, or maybe we are working in a corporate, we are working in a hospital, we are working in a firm, that is a formal communication where all the information is coming from the business perspective, from the work perspective. But information which is being disseminated at home, your mother is telling you something about an uncle, you are telling your cousin about something, all that is considered informal because that is not to be said in a certain way, whereas formal communication has strict rules. You cannot write a mail to your senior any which way you want. You have to follow some protocols. So when you do business mails and business reports and business letters, then you will be understanding the language which you have to use. Okay, and that's also part of your topic. If you have seen your booklets, there are chapters fully dedicated to business communication, which talks about how to write letters, formal emails, formal letters, report writing, CV writing. All that is part of the formal workplace scenario. Okay, now Aditya, I think we've already discussed this, right? Social relationship, informal, formal. You've already put that message. So let's not repeat it. Thank you, Vivek. I really appreciate that comment. Thanks that you've understood everything. Histogram is a wonderful example, Mitanshi. Very good. Histogram is also a means of visual communication. Correct answer. Yes, Ritu, very good. Talking with our colleague about meeting is also a formal. Yes, if it's a colleague and you're talking about office stuff, it has to be formal communication. Exactly, Ritu. Very correct. In informal communication, we don't have to follow many rules. You can sit with your friend anyways. You can sit in the garden, you can sit in a ground, you can sit in a library, you can sit at a coffee shop. It's very informal. That doesn't mean that coffee shop discussions don't involve business communication. A lot of business deals are done in coffee shops, cafes these days. But that is different. We are not getting into that detail. You don't have to worry about where and how. The only thing is language used, written words used, sign language used, whatever way the communication is happening, it has to follow some specific rules and regulations. Okay? Yes, Tanvi, you are correct. Pictogram, frequency table, histogram, sadhana, it's all the same, all comes under visual. Yes, Sunil. Okay, now let's finally come to the main topic about the formal communication. Now, what happens is formal communication is nothing but when there is flow of information which is business related. Flow of information means there is some kind of an order you have got. Suppose you are into the manufacturing industry and you've got some order, so that information coming from the client or to the vendor or to the manufacturer to the customer, all that is business related information, all that flows in a certain way. So we will base our example for all this in an organization, in a company, in a corporation. Okay, suppose you're working in an organization, maybe a PwC or a Deloitte or a Grant Thornton, or maybe you're working with Morgan Stanley. You're working in an organization. Okay? So you have seniors, then you have the middle management, then you have the lower management. That's how the pyramid goes. As you go up, the number of people gets reduced. So it forms like a pyramid because number of senior members will be lesser than the middle managers, and the middle managers will be lesser than the lower managers. Okay, so if I keep this in mind, you all have to assume that we are in an office, we are in an organization, and in that organization, how is the flow of information happening? That's going to be my discussion. Okay, okay. Now, when I talk about horizontal, I'm saying information is flowing between employees at the same level, which basically means if there are two directors, so information between those two is known as horizontal. So it's going across the line, across a straight line. So if I may just annotate it for you in terms of a line, horizontal in English, like it means from this employee to this employee, and both the employees are at the same level. This is very important. They are all, both of them are at the same level. If that does not happen, if the level is different, one is a junior, one is a senior, then the name of the communication changes. So if you get a case study where they say there is Mr. X who is a senior manager and there is a Mr. Y who is an assistant manager, they definitely do not hold the same post. In that case, it is not horizontal communication. Okay, the network is not horizontal. Fine. Aditya, it depends. These are not like straightforward yes or no questions. It depends on what is the context. Where are you sitting for that formal communication? What kind of a sign are you using? Based on that only, I'll be able to tell you. Which point, Tejas, last but one? Yes, Ritu, the level is the same. So when it is between two people at the same level, both are managers, both are directors, both are principals of school, both are teachers, only then we consider it to be horizontal. Okay. Now comes the second one, which is vertical. What happens in vertical? In vertical, like the line, the word itself states it. There is somebody at a senior position. So I'm writing SR, which is senior. It's coming down to somebody who is at a junior position. So I'm writing JR, and then this is the person. Or maybe information is going from junior to senior. It can be both ways, from junior to senior, from senior to junior. The direction of the flow of information is not important. It's not like current which flows from positive terminal to negative terminal only. Aisa nahi hai. In this case, it can be either ways, just that you have to remember the level or the designation of the two people between whom the information is flowing is not same. Okay, then that becomes vertical. So what happens is, like, I put that question in red. When you see these examples, have you ever thought office mein kaisa ho sakta hai? Like, you are a junior employee maybe to begin with, and your boss is giving you some information to act upon. Which category will that be? Bata sakte ho quickly? Okay, now I'm not entertaining any examples of visual communication. हो गए बहुत सारे. There are like 100 examples of visual communication. तो सबका अगर आप मुझे एक एक करके वर्ड मीनिंग बताओगे कि वो frequency polygon है या histogram है, I can't be saying yes to everything. I have understood that you have understood, so you don't have to worry now. Okay. Teachers communication is horizontal, but that has to happen between teachers. If a teacher is talking to a student, then that becomes vertical. Ha, Shruti, very correct. Yes, Tejas, all this is restricted within one organization. I've put that specifically. Across organizations, we have different words for that. That's not right now required. So across organizations bhi ho sakta hai, but we are trying to base our examples on only what is within one organization. Okay. Vertical, vertical, vertical. ठीक है. Okay, so now you've got the order of direction. Okay, vertical. ठीक है. Shivam, okay, that was nice. Okay, so you've understood that. Now let me ask you, suppose there is a client, okay, and he's asked you to, he's giving you an order. He's giving you an order of manufacturing 20 boxes, or sorry, 200 boxes. You are a manufacturer, you are in a factory. What kind of communication will that be? No, Kazi, vertical and diagonal are not the same. Ha, articles and CAs, Nitin, that's correct. That's vertical. So vertical and vertical में क्या होता है? We mostly restrict ourselves to the same project. Like, you have different divisions in offices. Okay. So within different divisions, there are people who are at a senior level and a junior level. Up within the same division, if it's called a vertical, then आपका immediate boss you might not be associated to the boss of any other division. Okay. दूसरे डिवीजन के बॉस से आपको कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रही है, और ही इज पासिंग ऑन सम इंस्ट्रक्शंस टू यू, that becomes cross functional, wherein maybe an HR person is talking to a finance person who is further passing on information to a sales guy, and the sales guy is giving it to the PR agency. All that is happening between different areas, different divisions, different managements. That is called diagonal. Okay, you get it? So diagonal में cross functional होता है, मतलब it's across functions. So the business lead is talking to the sales head, and the sales head is talking to the HR head, and the HR head is talking to the junior most assistant who's a software developer. All that here and there network from left to right, top to bottom, everything together like a chain or a web is known as diagonal. ठीक है, नाउ हैव यू अंडरस्टूड? सो डायगोनल में क्रॉस फंक्शनल होता है, वर्टिकल में उसी वर्टिकल के हेड से अगर आपको कोई इंफॉर्मेशन मिल रही है, दैट इज वर्टिकल. आई विल गिव यू एन इजी एग्जांपल. फॉर एग्जांपल आप स्कूल में हो, ठीक है. नाउ स्कूल में इफ यू आर इन क्लास 12th, so if your class 12th teachers are giving you some information, we call it one vertical. But if a third class teacher is also coming, if a second grade teacher is also coming, if your art teacher is telling you something, if your principal is telling you something, everybody is coming and giving you information, that becomes cross functional. Okay, clear? Have you understood? Will you be able to write an answer on the different kinds of communications, the different three types of formal communications? Rishu, you answer this question yourself. What is your take on this? Okay. Principal to teacher depends, because school में क्या है, designations are not about seniority. So principal to teacher might definitely be vertical, because these are terms which are mostly used in organizations. We don't use them in schools and colleges. Got it? But I'm just giving you an example of a school and college to make it easy. Rohit, what is this grandfather and son? Why are you talking about such irrelevant examples? ऑफिस में grandfather and son कहाँ से आएगा? ऐसे आंसर्स लिखोगे तो प्लीज डोंट इवन एक्सपेक्ट यू विल गेट हाफ अ मार्क इन द आंसर. ओके काजी, थैंक यू सो मच. Yes, Abhishek, now you are correct. It's a mixed communication between horizontal and vertical. Diagonal is basically where people of different designations in an organization convey information to each other. Okay, you don't have to be at the same level. You don't have to be a junior or a senior. You can be at any level. You can be from any division. You don't have to be technically from the CA group. So it's not only the CAs. Salesperson is talking to the CA. The CA guy is giving some inputs to the marketing head. The marketing head is talking something about his work to the finance guy. So from one area to the other area at various levels is called diagonal. Okay. You didn't answer, Rishu. Now that it's clear, I told you to answer. बताओ अब आंसर क्या है आपके क्वेश्चन का? Yes, Ritu, very correct. Again, see, you all have to understand my idea of teaching you formal communication is restricting yourself to corporate life. Okay? अब ये जो आप एग्जाम्पल्स दे रहे हो ना, ग्रैंडफादर, आईपीएस ऑफिसर, जज, लॉयर, ये सब इररेलेवेंट है. प्रिंसिपल टू पीएन, ऐसे तो 1000 to the power of 1000 एग्जाम्पल्स बन सकते हैं. You giving some instructions to your support staff saying something to the driver, driver saying something to the mechanic. So please, let's not get into these irrelevant examples which do not form part of formal communication at all. You talking to your support staff is not formal, okay? So please, there is no question, Aditya, as of now. I am just trying to tell you, let's work on whatever is important from your perspective. You are aspirant CAs. Aspirant CAs अगर ऐसे बातें करेंगे, I don't think so you deserve to be knowing all this then. Please, थोड़ा सा seriously questions पूछो. ऐसे questions पूछो जहाँ it's going to help you. जो चीज हेल्प नहीं करेगी, इट्स जस्ट फॉर फन, लेट्स नॉट डू इट. We wouldn't have time to have funny discussions in class today. Okay, clear? ठीक है रितु, sorry Ritu, I'm saying Bharat, and whoever had written that grandfather example. Yes, Anushta, that is correct. Sunil, again, that is very subjective. We don't always call that communication. Communication hota hai flow of information where it is for a certain business. Simply giving orders and instructions from a senior authority, like a judge coming in, like a police officer coming and giving you a warrant, that's not part of formal communication. We are not concerned about that. For us, it's business communication, जहाँ पे business generate हो रहा है, जहाँ पे office include हो रहा है. ठीक है? ठीक है रिशु, thank you very much. Yes, Harsh, then you are correct. That is vertical. Ritu, again, this is not formal communication. We are not concerned about that. Business के बाहर, office space के बाहर, workplace के बाहर, आप किसी से भी बात करो, that is very, very subjective. So I will not be able to tell you when you're talking about which customer, which shopkeeper. It doesn't relate to formal communication. Formal communication is at workplace. वहां पे वर्क प्लेस का सेटअप क्या है, आप मॉल में हो, आप छोटी ग्रोसरी की शॉप में हो, या आप बस स्टॉप पे खड़े हो, दैट्स कंप्लीटली सब्जेक्टिव. सो देयर इज नो वन आंसर फॉर दैट. Okay, so I think your questions, you've really answered a lot of questions yourself. So the question I've put on the slide about you thinking of situations, you've really thought of interesting situations. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the inquisitiveness you have shown towards this. I think if you read your subject with so much interest and curiosity, you all will definitely get full marks in your exam, like a 40 on 40. अगर इतने सारी queries हैं and you have thought about so many situations, where will it be vertical, where will it be horizontal, then I'm really very happy that you are showing interest. Very good. And you will definitely read your stuff properly so that you present it very nicely in the answers. The answers, I'm going to tell you whether you've written well or not. That is where your intelligence will actually come out. अभी तो आप इसमें पूछ रहे हो comments में, but when you have to actually put down your words into proper answers, which will fetch you full marks, that's your real test. हाँ प्रतिभा, I'm getting. Yes, Shruti. Yes, Kazi, correct. अब सीए का डेजिग्नेशन क्या हो सकता है हिमांशु? इफ ही इज आल्सो अ मैनेजर देन सेम ही हो गया ना, हॉरिजॉन्टल हो गया. Taru, what's your question? I didn't see your question. Communication between employees of one division to another division will be cross functional. Taru, thanks Sadhna, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for understanding. Client to manufacturer is mostly diagonal. Astha, I can get you. Let me see if you have given me something. Let me check. आपका कुछ question miss हुआ है. I'm really sorry for that. I'm trying to cover all questions. Maybe I missed on. Can you please resend your question, Astha? Mitanshi, what is it? Okay, yes, Mitanshi, not in the scope. Yes, Siddesh. The way you just messaged me, you have to message your question or your query also the same way. Like you've sent me this question about how are students messaging me. उसी वे में आप अपना मुझे डाउट भेज दो. I'll get it. Himanshu, I think I've missed a couple of questions. ठीक है, so give me a minute. I'll just go through. Himanshu, you said CA to manager. I told you, no? अगर CA भी managerial position पे है, उसका designation manager है, तो it will become horizontal. अब CA कितना senior है? He is the director of a maybe big four. Then it becomes vertical. So it's not the profession which matters. The designation he holds in the office, that decides the communication. Yes, Sunil. Yes, Namrata, correct. Yes, Tanvi, very correct. Again, Ruthvi, that is not a very valid question. CA to CS may you are talking of professions. And now, if I say doctor to nurse, if I say doctor to CA, CA to policeman, policeman to lawyer, that doesn't make sense, right? That's diagonal. We are restricting ourselves to one organization. Why are you all not getting that? We are not concerned about other organizations. Verticals and formal communications happen. The names which I am discussing are restricted to one organization. Across organizations, we don't use these names. It's just across organizations. So if somebody from X organization is talking to somebody in Y organization, we do not use these names. Okay, get it? So don't repeat the question now about one general manager from A to another general manager of B. That becomes a conference, that becomes a business meeting, that becomes maybe a mail. That is different, that does not come under the scope of these three names. ASM to RSM, आप बताओ please, Pranay. Yes, Aditya, level of management matters. Anushta, we've already had a break. Yes, Ritu, I'm trying to do that. Questions will be MCQ and subjective. A couple of writing answers are also there. Umar, what about you? You tell me your answer. Let me see if you get +1 or a -1. Now, you all are asking questions. Let me see. If you answer correctly, you'll get a +1. Otherwise, you'll get a -1. I'm not answering these questions which I don't think are interesting. Hierarchy matters. Yes, very much, Harsh. That's true. Rishu, you tell me what is the level. If you think both are the same, then it is horizontal. If you think one is senior, one is junior, then is vertical. So, what is your understanding of the CFOs and CEOs? You tell me. I would be happy to read your answer and then give you marks. Yes, Namrata. Okay, moving on to the next part, which is informal communication. Informal communication is where it involves an exchange of ideas and thoughts between people, and it can be just spontaneous. So you don't have to conform to anything which is office regulations. There are no systems. It can just spread across people to like a chain, you telling somebody, he telling it further. It just passes like a chain network that becomes a informal communication. And we are again restricting ourselves to an organization where you are talking to colleagues here and there, and you are not discussing workplace scenarios. You are just spreading information without following any protocols, without using the formal business email, without using your official ID. That becomes informal communication. Okay. Informal communication, when it happens at workplace, is known as grapevine. Have you seen a grapevine? A grapevine usually has its stems moving across here and there. It's a climber basically, so it moves here and there and it needs a support stick. Similarly, when information does not have a base, it does not have a control, and it's just growing and growing and spreading, it's called a grapevine. Okay, fine. Okay, Rishu, fine. So if you have understood, thanks for answering yourself. Thanks, Ritu. Yash, I told you, is this related to being a CA? Do you really need to know what is that kind of communication, Yash? Yes, Pratibha. Okay, so I'll give you a picture. This is a good picture of a gossip chain where one is the source. From the source, the information is spreading to different people, assuming that B, C, D, E, F, G, H are people. And grapevine is what you hear from one source, you tell to the next person, he passes it on, he passes it on, he passes it on, without actually checking the authenticity of the information. So we don't check information kitna theek hai, how relevant it is, how authentic is it coming from a correct source, or it's just coming. Okay. Yes, Namrita. Pranav, that's weeds. Grapevine is the climbers of grapes. Grapes grow in grapevines, not unwanted plants. Rumors is a very good example of informal communications. Very good, Harsh. Harsh is giving really good examples. Some of you have really shown wonderful interest in class. I'm so happy. I can see that seriousness. Many of you are giving very good examples. Harsh is giving a very good example whenever he's putting a comment. Yes, tumors. Nitin, not necessarily. I mean, it can be good talk also. It can be lunch break discussions, can be grapevine. Question paper blueprint is the template, the pattern that is called blueprint. How do you think the paper is going to come? It's just like a rough idea about how your paper will look like. That's known as a blueprint. Okay, you can have a look at your mock test papers and you will get a fair enough idea then. Sakti, it can include both. It can include official and non-official. It doesn't categorically talk about anything specific. It's like a friendly gossip. So it's not considered good. In grapevine, what happens is you just get to know some information which you're not supposed to spread, and you start telling people. So once you tell somebody, it moves on to so many people. So it's not a very good and healthy way in communication. Grapevine is basically spreading rumors, spreading fake news. It can be correct news also, which is not to be spread. वो भी आप spread कर रहे हो. So grapevine is जैसे कुछ spread होते जा रहा है, and it's very unwanted. It's just creating an unhealthy atmosphere and unhealthy environment in the office. Okay, that is grapevine. Clear, everybody? Okay, any doubts till grapevine communication? So we've done informal, we have done formal, we have done visual. The examples are when and bar graph. We have done this, which is completely eye appealing with the colors and the pictures, and the product itself is so interesting. The glove bread. Anything else you want to know till grapevine, or else we'll move on to the questions? Okay. So now I have two riddles for you. Now that you have been asking so many questions, I thought, why not I ask you questions for a change? So look at the questions. One is the shortest English word that contains all the five, the first words A, B, C, D, E, and the A, B, C, D, E, F, sorry. And the next is a longer question. Tell me the answer. Without communication, the answer was found in the second question. That's why I'm giving it to you in this topic. Okay, Shruti, thank you for that. Quickly give me the answer, please. Tanvi has got it correct. Sadhana has got it correct. Sarfaraz has got it correct. Did you like search for the answer or you used your brains? Honestly, please. Don't simply search for the answer and give me the word. I don't want it that way. I want you to think about it and then give me the answer. Appearance, no. Thanks, Imanshu. Shivam, Trisha, Nihal, oh, Nihal, all the alphabets. Yes, A, B, C, D, E, F, all are there in some order. The order is not necessarily this. That's a very good example, Bharat. He's giving me an example that Narad Muni is an example of grapevine. Very correct. Bad cafe. No, you don't have to use only these alphabets, Shakil. You can use these alphabets and some others, but the word will have all these. Bad cafe. Okay, Rohit, you could have told me on your own. Okay, Shivam has given me answers for both of them. Very good. Thank you so much, Shivam. And both your answers are correct. The answer for the first one is feedback. That's the word. You necessarily don't have to use only these alphabets. My question was, you can use these words and other words also. Okay. So if I ask you to use these words, I'll just put it in a text. I think that's a better way. This is the answer for this one. And the answer for this one is fireman. Now you have to guess. See, it's very important. The question says, without hesitation or communication of any kind, they got to know that the fireman was at fault. How did they know this? So, how does it happen without communication? That is the reason why I gave you this riddle. Feedback is correct for all those who have written it. Umar, bad chief doesn't make sense here. Feedback, because it has an A, it has a B, it has a C, it has a D, it has a E, it has an F. Okay, that was the question. You have to use all the 6 alphabets and you can use any other alphabet also, but I want a word which includes all these 6. And in case of the second one, the answer is fireman. The police get to know about the fireman without finding out anything, without asking questions, without any flow of information. Don't start that vertical horizontal thing now. How? Because probably he's the only man, the rest of them are women. That's the answer. Maybe it was a poor joke, but I thought because it's without communication and it's quite relevant to the subject, so I'll be happy sharing. Okay? Okay, let's move on. After the riddle time, good, you attempted the riddle. Now we'll do some practice questions from the study material. And these are the networks. So I'll just shift to the practice questions. These are the networks which all of you have been asking about. You can see the names. The vertical network is nothing but the same as vertical communication, which goes from up to down, down to up. Star network is where it is across employees. There is everybody sitting on one point of the star. Circuit network, chain network is like a link. Wheel and spoke is again the same. I will discuss these networks in the next class. Okay. Right now, I'm going to ask you some questions from the study material, which is about test your knowledge. Let me see how much of you have understood. Mm, fireman, because the others are women, Aditya. Sorry, it was a very bad joke, but then I thought you all will like it. No, Harsh. It was not because of appearance. Sakti says he doesn't have any work. That's why he was arrested. No, no, no. He definitely did have work. Okay, I'll share the questions now. You can have a look at that. So this is your study material. This is about communication. I hope you all can see. So the broader categories of communication, this is how it is. Everything has been just aligned with whatever content is there in the study material. So don't worry, nothing is different. The style of presentation will be different because in PPTs, I have to make it more appealing. I have to make it more interactive. This is more theoretical, but it'll be really good if you read through it once. Okay. Visual communication, then we have done formal communication, which is vertical, diagonal, and horizontal. Then we've done informal communication and it talks about grapevine. If you see gossip in office, okay. So specifically any kind of a gossip in office is known as grapevine. Then we move on to the networks in communication. This is something which I will do in the next class. So a network is nothing but how you are combining two or two more than two different resources. So there is a senior and there is a junior, that becomes a vertical network. We just did that. Then we have a circuit network. These are just names given to networks. Okay, not necessarily all organizations use this, not necessarily all kinds of communication can be put under these topics. This is just broadly. Okay, this is the circuit network where A is talking, he's passing on a message to B is passing on the feedback, and then it reaches the A person. So it's basically same hierarchy and the network gets complete. The circuit is complete. Okay, that's why it's called circuit network. Anyways, we'll do this later. So we are left with couple of topics: characteristics of effective communication, barriers to effective communication, kinds of network, and we'll be done. Okay, now I'll take you to the questions. Please have a look. Practice exercises. This is around page number 15 of your chapter. States the communication types, channels used by humans. Explain each in a couple of sentences. So for channels, remember what we did? Anybody who can tell me what were the channels? Verbal, non-verbal, and visual. This is about the channels. So if I take you back to the screen, I hope you can see the questions. No, Sadhna. It's not about the culprit and then he got scared because he saw the police and he realized that he's wrong. ऐसा नहीं कुछ है. So channels में क्या आएगा? Verbal, non-verbal. I am showing this screen to you. And visual. Okay. Question 2. ठीक है, we'll do question 2. Okay, now the second question says, what are the main steps in the process of communication? Process of communication, remember? I'll take you to that also. Process of communication is this. So you have to have a purpose or a reason for communication. Then you have to design how are you going to convey. So you're going to design the content. Then you will decide which medium to use. Are you going to write? Are you going to speak? Are you going to show a picture? Are you going to make a gesture? You're deciding the medium. Fourth comes finally the message gets transmitted to the receiver. Fifth, you have both intentional and accidental, the disturbances, the external factors which are acting as a disturbance. As a result, the information does not get transferred correctly. Last is whatever has been transferred, the receiver receives it, he decodes it. Decodes it मतलब he is trying to understand it. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि सारी information Morse code में जा रही है. It's not that. It's just technical words that some information has been sent, which is encoding, and the information received has been split and trying to be understood. That is called decoding. These are the main steps in the process of communication. Okay, so if you write an answer where there are lists, please use the bullet format. If you have a story, or if there is what is oral communication, what are its elements, then you can use a paragraph. Okay, the next question is, let's say, mention the networks. We haven't done the networks right now, so you can leave question number 3. We'll do it in the next class. Similarly, the fourth one, disadvantages of wheel network, वो भी किया नहीं है. Wheel and spoke network है, chain network है, star network है, circuit network है, vertical network है. We'll do that next class. I have just introduced you. Then cultural barriers we have to do. Barriers hote hain obstacles. What are the problems a communication can face? Okay, what are the barriers? Okay, let's come to question number 8. Based on the communication channels, what are the different kinds of communication methods? You have just now given that verbal, non-verbal wala. You can write that answer. What about oral communication and its essential elements? Can somebody remember? Oral communication and its essential elements. I'll take you to the answer. Just give me a minute. Oral communication is communication through the spoken word, where there is interaction, there is chat, there is discussion, there is video conference, all that is oral. But it also involves a lot of seminars, meetings, conferences. कुछ भी ऐसा जहाँ पे oral, like talking हो रही है, speech related action हो रहा है, that is called oral. Last of all, what are the essentials? It's about the pronunciation, it's about listening, it's about grammar, it's about vocabulary. So the basic, the finer aspects of language. Oral में क्या है? Basically आप बात कर रहे हो. अब आप जब बात कर रहे हो, you have to speak in a certain way that the person whom you are talking to likes it. So you have to be pronouncing the words correctly. You have to be listening and conversing. You have to give him time to listen, understand, and then get back. Then your grammar should be correct. Any language, English ho ya French ho ya Sanskrit ho, with wrong grammar, you are doing a mistake. You should never be using wrong grammar. So grammar is very important. And last of all comes vocabulary, where you're using the right word in the right sense. Okay, like somebody last time you said ostensible. Ostensible nahi hota hai teaching style kabhi bhi. Okay, yes Shruti, correct answer. Okay, Kazi. Harsh, second answer though, I think we have discussed. Let me take you back to the second answer. Second question है, what are the main steps in the process of communication? So main steps in the process of communication are these. This is on page number 16. You should have a purpose for communication. Then you have to design the content in a certain style, placement of words, placement of information. Third is you want to convey the message. How will you convey? Via WhatsApp, via what messaging, via written text, via letter, via email. Then it is transmitting the message. It finally reaches. Factoring in noises is basically the external factors which kind of hinder the reaching of the message in its purest form. Disturbances hoti hain, courier delay ho jata hai, email half jati hai, attachment missing hota hai. These are called factoring in the noises. Okay? And the last is receiving the message, which is from the receiver's end. Well, that's perfectly your choice, Pranay. Agar aap practice karna chahte ho, so you can attempt all the questions here in the practice part. If you think you can read the answers and memorize, that is also okay. So these are the 10 practice questions which you all should do. I'm not doing all because I haven't finished some of the topic, like cultural barriers. We'll do next class. What are barriers? We'll do that, and then we'll do cultural barriers. Essential elements of communication, I have told you. Chain of command comes under the process of communication, जो कि networks हैं. तो सारे networks हम next class में discuss कर लेंगे. Okay. So this was about the question answers, and whatever we have done in the slides. Once you get to see the slide, you can again go through it. Everything is very, very practical. You just have to remember the points very nicely. अगर आपके points दिमाग में हैं and you are placing your answers correctly, you will definitely get full marks. Don't sound very scattered, don't sound very broken. एक point इधर एक point उधर, ऐसे नहीं. Flow में answer आना चाहिए. After all, it has to be good communication. So you writing an answer has to be very, very neat and clean and apt and consistent. Then I will consider it good communication. ठीक है? Network wala, I have just given you the names. I know I have not discussed it. Time has not permitted me, but next class for sure, we will discuss the networks. Okay. So till now, I hope everything is clear. There is no concern about communication. It's a real time practice topic which you will be facing when you go to offices. There you will realize how good this communication should be, how much I should have been attentive in class. I really wish I could have done more towards communication. So before that regret, please start doing it. And we'll really be meeting again for the topic. We have one more session left on Saturday, which is 26th of November. That will be the last class of communication. We'll do a few more practice questions and we'll finish whatever topics have been left. Okay. So for Saturday, please come revised with whatever we have done till now. I'm going to ask you questions on that. I will not ask you general affairs and current affairs, but I'll ask you questions from the first two classes. Fine. Thank you so much, everybody. Most welcome for all the thanks I have got. Pranay, Ritu, and Mohammed Sarfaraz, thanks a lot. And Tejas, I'll do it just after some time. Today, of course, I'll send the slides and you will find them uploaded. Okay, Tejas? Shruti, I'm coming again next Saturday, so you can write all those comments later. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Please pay attention. Books are very important. Do not forget to read the study material. Okay? Thank you, guys. It was really nice having a session with you all.